welcome back to the Forgive Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Brenda Reese, and today my guest is just delightful and deep, and I think probably one of the most open-hearted spiritual women I've ever met. Sheila Delaney is a meaning maker and a story crafter, and she really is, who has spent 2 decades studying human behavior at the intersection of professional leadership and authentic living as an executive facilitator and coach. She has been building bridges in the in-betweens for her whole life, starting with her own bicultural roots. She hosts an amazing podcast, The Crazy Beautiful Truth, focused on what it is to love ourselves back into life. It only makes sense that she's using her lawyerly brain, let me say that right, and her artistic sensibility to build a bridge between the old way and a new way forward, where we are reclaiming language and resetting expectations. She is an advocate for insourcing wisdom and authority and inhabiting this hard, beautiful life with wonder. Welcome to the podcast, Sheila.
Thank you so much, Brenda. Wow, that's wild to hear reflected back to me.
Isn't it crazy? And you're like,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Aren't I fancy?
Exactly. I know. I love that with our bios. It's like, oh, could you read that again?
Right. Well, thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here. And I love talking to you, as you know, because we just had such good fun.
Well, I know. We needed like 2 hours before we hit record.
We did. Excellent.
So part of what and it's true, I think you are one of the most open-hearted women I've met.
Thank you for that.
You have such depth, and I have loved that since we met. I think we met in Wisdom Soup.
We did. Wow, that was longer ago than I care to remember, than I remembered.
Right?
Yes.
I was thinking about that. And something that I love is your curious nature. And I love how you say the lawyerly brain, because I love how it connects things together. And I think that brings so much depth and wisdom to your coaching that you do. And just in life, I mean, because, it hasn't been easy.
Isn't that the truth? We were just saying because we're not 32 anymore.
We're not 32 anymore. No, only a couple years ago.
Exactly.
So, but what I'd like to get to today for people too is the insourcing versus outsourcing, because I think this is really important, especially everything that we're going through, but especially as women, of a beautiful age.
Yeah.
And the younger we can learn this, the better. How we can learn to trust ourselves again. And, and then we're going to talk about autoimmune. So I would love to have you start there because you've lived this body shutting down.
I have.
With the autoimmune. And tell us about that.
Yeah. So here's how I put it is I missed the 2x2 and I'm, using violent imagery, but the 2x2 to the head. And then I got the 2x4 and I missed that too. So then the 4x4 took me out. So I'd say I was a smart kid, a driven kid, a kid who had something to prove. And as a young adult, I'll say, so I, did my business degree, went back and did my law degree and loved it. I loved the adrenaline of it. I loved being surrounded by really smart people who are nerdy enough to like sit and debate the placement of a comma, right? There's nerd brain right here. And who were really interested in language. This was always my thing. And I realized I was good at this. And so, I did my JD. I got the position that I wanted at the firm that I wanted in Calgary, Alberta, which is where I did my JD, and worked, the 80, 90, 100-hour weeks, 2 suits on the back of the door, snack drawer with everything from chocolate to protein bars, right? And loved every second, right? I was young. I had the energy for it. And it was so stimulating until I got knocked out with 6 weeks of pneumonia. Right. Ooh. And so it knocked me flat because I'm not sleeping. I'm getting to the gym every day at different times. So at least I was doing that. Fast forward, we've moved to the States. I've left the law. By then moved into executive facilitation and executive coaching. And what I'll say is, I often describe myself as a recovering attorney. And emphasis on the recovery. It took me a year to stop vibrating, right? To come down from all of that. And then fast forward, now I've got kids. I've still got the same drive, right? I've still got this something to prove. So now I'm on every committee I can be on, right? So I'm president of the Parents Guild at the dance company. I'm, the art docent in the classroom at school. I'm doing all these things. I'm training discussion leaders at the church that I was attending at the time. So I've got fingers in every pot and two little children. And I was on a plane on the way home from a friend's wedding in Calgary. And I got this acute pain in my shoulder. And after a few days, I'm like, something is really wrong. Like this is knock me to the floor kind of business. And I ended up getting this crazy diagnosis. It's called Parsonage-Turner syndrome.
Oh.
And here's how it goes. They said, yeah, we were able to confirm what it is. We've done the scans. This is good news. You're going to have acute chronic nerve pain for somewhere between 1 and 3 years. But don't worry, we'll put you on Oxy. Yeah, that's not happening. And then the pain's going to stop and you're going to lose function of your arm from shoulder to fingertip. You will be paralyzed for another 1 to 3 years, and then you'll be fine. Call us back if you have any questions. This was voicemail, Brenda.
It was voicemail?
This was voicemail. So I changed doctors, went to a different system. I was like, what is this business? And that is exactly how it went. It was just the wildest thing in the world. So I've got a 3-year-old daughter I can't pick up. I've got, I'm on the floor with pain. The only thing that worked was ice. So I iced on the hour every hour that I wasn't sleeping.
Oh my
And
God.
it went 1.5 years. And, I'm half Korean. The Irish is clearly strong, but I'm half Korean. So the Eastern, cupping and acupuncture, none of those things are foreign. So I was going down that route, which did help.
Okay.
But somewhere along the way, I started to ask very different questions because I had these really irreverent friends, right? Who were such a blessing at that time, who would say to me, hey, Sheila, can you pass the salt? Oh, wait, never mind. Because my arm's in a sling and it's even in the pain, it's non-functional. And then when the pain stopped, it was like throwing my arm to the table level of paralyzed.
It went just like that.
Just
the pain
like that.
And then paralyzed.
Yep. Exactly like they said. I was without pain and with mobility for about 4 hours, and then it just dropped off. It's the wildest thing in the world. So I was sitting at the kitchen table one day, and I remember thinking, what is it that I've designed my life in such a way that I want the salt and I cannot reach for that which I desire?
Oh.
Right?
Yes.
And I remember having exact that response. I remember the chills and going, okay, this is where I begin. This is the right question. And without getting into it all, I've had a brain bleed. I had a pituitary tumor. I, was passing out in public places with hypoglycemic stuff. I got this pneumonia that knocked me flat. So this is the one that finally got my attention. And as soon as I started asking that question, the whole journey changed, right? Because now I'm paying attention to the mystery. Now I'm wondering, what can I control? What do I have influence over? What if this is for me? Right. And then and having, this is where I started my forgiveness work, of looking at parents, looking at myself. But that question, I've asked so many women, what is it that we have designed our lives that we cannot reach for that which we desire? And this question occupies my mind in so many ways. So we found out it is not autoimmune dysfunction. They actually think it's viral, and it's settled into my system because I had this pre-existing condition. And went in, had a rheumatologist who we tried all the things. And he finally said, okay, you've become my problem child. Normally something's worked by now.
Right.
He said, stop all the meds. I want to know about your relationships, your stress, and what you're putting in your body. This is like Western medicine rheumatology.
This is awesome.
It was amazing. Blew my mind. So now I'm in therapy. I, of course, burst into tears. He mapped out the chemical reactions of stress and inflammation in the body. And he talked about, he's like, until you get stressed down, inflammation doesn't go. This is how it works. And I know now, because I've stayed tuned into this, all of this was about 12, 13 years ago as it came to an end, because when it ended, it was just over. I still have inflammatory joint disease, but I've been symptom free for some time now. But
it just stopped, or it stopped because of what you were doing?
So it went,
or taking care of.
Yeah. It just stops is the normal course of the progression. It's the strangest thing. So it's like a 3.5 year shutdown. And then okay, good luck. Maybe you're ready. Back to life. And my measure was, can I cut an apple? And so with my right arm, which was my dominant arm, I would take
Yes.
a knife as my strength was coming back. And I would have to fling a big old knife into the top of an apple and then like lift it and thump it down on the counter to get the knife through the apple. Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I got you.
And my husband at the time, he like my former husband, he went and he got me an apple slicer, you know, the kind you push down.
Oh, yeah. The one that, yeah.
Right. Well, I couldn't do that either because I had no strength. So now it's cockeyed in the apple. But so this became my measure of success. So I remember the day I could cut an apple. And I was like, now I reach for what I want. What's possible now? And this question of what is possible began to change everything. Recently, I heard Dr. Gabor Mate, who, you know, deals with addiction, does all this beautiful work in Vancouver.
He's fabulous.
Canada. He's amazing. He's my celebrity crush. So
I can see that.
Yes. He talks about how 70 to 80% of women are autoimmune sufferers. And he talks about these behaviors that we have in common. And it just changed everything. So I'll just throw out the 4 things that he talks about.
Sure.
1, that women have an automatic compulsive concern for the emotional needs of everybody else while actively, not passively, ignoring our own needs. So that's number 1. And I look back at that time. Yep. Check. Number 2, rigid identification with social role, duty, and responsibility paired with a conviction that we have to justify our existing through doing and giving.
Conviction.
This is not deep. A thing we've just absorbed. This is what we believe is right. This is our value system. Wow. Right? Number 3, repression of healthy, self-protective aggression and anger. Because a good woman don't get mad.
Oh, yes. I know that one.
Yeah. And then 4th, acting on the beliefs that I am responsible for how other people feel. And I can't disappoint everyone. Right. These are the things he talks about. And he's like, and these things, and then it makes sense when I think about this rheumatologist mapping stress into inflammation. This autoimmune journey is potentially a wake up for so many of us. And it breaks my heart. It takes us there. And I wonder what's possible. You know, I've been symptom free. I feel very fortunate. Please don't misunderstand me in saying if you do the right work, you're going to be symptom free. That's not what I'm saying. I happen to have reduced the inflammation in my system and I maintain it through diet and all of these different things. But I've been able to be symptom free for almost 4 years, which is amazing.
Oh, congratulations on that. Because, oh my gosh. And that's not, and like you said, every so often you still have a little this or that. So it's not like.
Doesn't shut me down. I don't need a cane to walk upstairs. Yeah, it's wholly different. And so it again got me curious about what is it to outsource. So when you look at those 4 things, we are outsourcing our worth. We are outsourcing our definitions of what is it to be a good woman. We are outsourcing everything.
Yeah.
We don't get to hear our own voice and we don't have that inner channel open.
No. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing all of that. That is, it's a wild ride. Yet what stood out for me in this is that, you know, you missed the 2x2 and the 2x4 and so there were some things happening to kind of tell you and I don't want to make it sound like we're to blame. Right. I don't want that at all. I think that I want to stress that. And I know you do too. We're not to blame here at all because it's conditioned. This is from the womb almost, right? Like
I'd go to ancestral. This is from the womb. This is deep in our lineages and our DNAs and our matrilineal lines and what we absorb from the women around us. Absolutely.
Oh my God. And that was it. I did a thing the other day where I was looking at some of these emotions, right? Like the anger and the sadness. And I was doing some work with a gal and she's like, is that interpersonal or is it intergenerational?
Yep.
And so many of them were it just came to me intergenerational. And it's like, wow.
Yes.
This is, that deep held anger. And I get that, but it's like, it goes back to the body keeps a score. Our body does a beautiful job of keeping us going until it can't, until it says, hey, I need some help here.
Yeah.
I need some help here. And I'm really glad that once you started asking the questions, it kind of changed your journey.
100%. It did. It changed the conversations that I was having.
Yes.
It changed my relationship to the pain. It changed my relationship to paralysis, which is such a strange word. And it gave me a lot of insight. So my dad passed away when I was 19 after a long battle with cancer. And he was paralyzed from the waist down.
Okay.
And there was a thing I learned when I was paralyzed from the shoulder down. So it's different than frozen shoulder. Like it's an actual paralysis. Like the muscles look dead, like they don't have any electrical signal. It's wild. But what I didn't realize is there's still sensation. So you can still have pain. So it's not like numbness equates to no pain. And it made me think about my dad's experience differently.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
And
that would be.
And how I cared for him, or when I was massaging edema out of his legs at 18, or what, all of these kinds of things. And again, this idea of we think we're numbing ourselves to protect ourselves, but that pain is getting through.
Absolutely.
Right. It was so rich. The more I have reflected on it over the years, the deeper the insights, the deeper the reflections, and the more committed I am to women being able to access their in-sourced wisdom and knowledge.
Yeah. Let's talk about that insourcing now, the insourcing versus outsourcing, because that is that excites me.
I'm so excited about it's so funny because this whole model started to come through, I don't know, 3 years ago. And then the last couple of years, it's really gelled. But I realized this is what I've been doing my whole life.
Yeah.
Of course, it's what I've been doing with my clients for the last 20 years, whether that's at board retreats or with executive leaders or in women's circles, as I've been hosting those. And the whole premise is, and I think we all talk about it, like we shouldn't outsource beauty standards. What is a good woman? Oh, we're outsourcing wisdom, permission, authority, worth, value, all of these kinds of things. But I was like, okay, that's all great. But then what? Right?
Yeah.
So we are all so good at running around saying, we should stop this. And we wave the flags and we jump up and down. Okay, great. Replace it with what? And this is where we get into human behavior, where if we're going to let go of the thing, we want to grab something different. And so this idea of insourcing really dropped in. And there's 3 elements, the way that I look at it, that I've been working with. And the first is to take responsibility. What can I take responsibility for? It might be small, it might be big, whatever the thing is, but it breaks down eventually to the smallest next action that I'm willing to take responsibility for in service of my own life and well-being, vitality, courage.
Beautiful.
That bit of self-responsibility, every time we take a little bit of self-responsibility, we grow a little bit of self-trust, which is what comes next. Right? So it goes responsibility, self-trust. But you can have all kinds of self-responsibility and self-trust and still be burning yourself to the ground.
I was going to say, we can take because we're responsible women, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we are hardcore responsible. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what does that look like? What did that look like for you when you look back at your life, the self-responsibility for you?
So it's so different. This is where, in my language, it's a word I had to reclaim and re-resonate.
Okay.
Because the word responsibility came with my mother's waggling finger.
Yes.
That's your responsibility. It was either a declaration of what is necessary or a declaration of failure. That was your responsibility and you didn't do it, right?
Oh, I feel that, yes.
Yeah. And what it means to me now, and it took some work to get here, and I have a whole practice around re-resonating words. But to re-resonate is the privilege of taking responsibility for my life and my gifts. If I have the privilege of this life, and this body and this opposable thumb that my dog wishes she had, right? Like, what do we do with it? Right? What is my responsibility? And so my responsibility in the midst of this Parsonage-Turner syndrome crisis in my life, this inciting incident is how I think of it.
Good.
It became, what can I take responsibility for? And that is the questions that I ask.
Yes.
So noticing, if I had inclinations towards, why is this happening to me? That's not a helpful question.
No.
Right? Because here's what I know. When we ask questions, the whole of the unseen, every cell in my brain and my body, they don't assess the question. They rally to give you an answer. Why do I suck? I'm going to answer that question.
Absolutely.
So if I start asking higher quality questions, like what is it that I've designed my life this way? Okay, now I can start to look, where can I take responsibility? Oh, you know what? I've been trying to overfunction. I've been trying to never be angry. I've been trying to prove how good a mom I am. I've been trying to prove that I can do it all. I've been trying to prove that I'm invincible. I am not. It's all a lie. Yeah. And that's,
Yeah. Oof, it
what do
is.
we do with that?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a slap in the face. So that's an example of taking responsibility.
Okay.
So it's not always an action. It's a choice. It's a head game first. The thing with self-responsibility is if you don't balance it, I'll say with self-trust and also care, that's the third element.
Okay.
If we have only responsibility, then I'm taking responsibility for my stuff, your stuff, and everybody else's stuff. That is the recipe for the autoimmune. Now we've got martyr energy. Now we're tripping into resentment and ultimately into isolation.
Absolutely.
So responsibility all by itself, not the right answer, right? So then we begin to grow the self-trust. When I'm talking about self-trust, I'm not talking about trust that I will get it right every time. I'm not talking about the trust that I can get on my bike and not fall off. I'm talking about the trust that I can get on my bike, fall off, get back up and go again, right? That I trust my resilience. I trust my creativity. I trust my emotional fluency to allow me. And, it's so funny because I remember it was my first big, for me, massive keynote, right? Like it was this big luncheon conference for the National Something of Accountants. And there were the two big screens on the wall and, and this massive ballroom. And I remember calling my girlfriend and being like, I am freaking out. And she was like, she dropped right at her roll. She's like, I get it. It's fine. You're going to be great. You know how to do this. You don't need to panic. Let's take some breaths. I was like, no. I am freaking out because I have not freaked out yet. And she's like, hold the phones. What? I was like, I discovered freaking out was part of my preparatory practice. Right? Like this was something I was dependent on. So to realize I was going into this and I was like, I've got a lot of self-trust. I know my content like nobody's business. I know that I'm of service at the front of the room. Beautiful things happen when I ride that energy and bring people along in that way. Yeah. And I know if I mess something up, I know I can bounce back from that. I was like, who is this woman? She's freaking me out. And she just left. She's like, I'm hanging up. Go do your thing. Let me know how it goes.
You don't need me, girlfriend.
Right. But that was my first experience with genuine self-trust, where it wasn't that I was going to get it perfect.
Yeah.
It was that I would weather and still be of service if something went sideways.
Sit with that for a second. I mean, feel that in the body.
Yeah.
That's a thump, right? That's like being embodied. Like, it's like, here I am. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. And I'm even going to maybe have a little fun with it.
100%.
That's total, like in the heart, here, present, and that I'm worthy, I matter, all the stuff. I am enough, all the things that, I mean, I just felt that. It's like to be able to walk out there and do that, knowing that it's just going to be okay no matter what.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was such a visceral experience. And I'm really grateful because when I reflect back on that moment, it taught me what self-trust feels like in my body.
Yes. There we go.
It gave me an intimacy with my felt experience that I was not alive to prior to that. And it looked like freaking out. As we know, probably most of your listeners is like anxiety runs along the same track as excitement and anticipation.
Yes, it does.
Right? Yes. So realizing that and realizing self-trust extends. If you've got it in one place, you got it in more places than you realize. Suddenly my boundaries are solid. And I'm not having to fight with them. I'm like, you're crossing my boundary. There's no resistance. There's nothing to prove with my boundaries. That is a yes. That is a no. Is there someone else I can refer you to? This is a yes, but let's be clear. I have a boundary on my yes. It's not an unconditional yes for all of time. If there's scope creep, I get to help. I get to modify the yes. So this self-trust is contagious. But here's the thing. If we only have self-trust, right, without self-responsibility and care, now you've got arrogance, potentially narcissism. The emotional felt experience can be anger because nobody else is trustworthy, right?
Yes.
And ultimately isolation. And so you're running this track alone. And then for the very skillful like me, we can run around the outside and bounce between martyr and arrogant, right? Yes. Why am I the only one who knows?
Really well.
Really, really skillfully. Absolutely. So then I'm bouncing between resentment and anger, and I'm the only one. And why do I always have to? Like, it's just the journey is hysterical. Right.
Well, it is. When we're in the middle of it, it's real, but it feels real. But
100%.
when you can get to that outside of it and look at it, or above it and look at it, like you were able to do with the questions, right? When changing the way that you look, the choice of let me talk different, speak different. That's how we can do things differently, right? But that's how we can laugh. We can start going, oh my God, that's what it means to laugh at myself.
Yes. And I do not have to take this so seriously. Like, I do not always have to be a JD out in the world, right? Like, honestly,
No.
some of this stuff is ridiculous. Like, the human experience is wild and woolly, and I truly am full of wonder,
Yes.
when I look out at the world and think we have the privilege of consciousness that doesn't just let us live it, but also reflect on it. Like,
Oh,
that's really
yeah.
interesting to me.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's interesting because that brings me around to the care piece, because
Yes.
you can see how you can bounce between self responsibility and self trust and just still
Mm-hmm.
be doing all the things.
Absolutely.
Self care drops us into connection with, okay, how am I? Right.
Mm.
Self care says, okay, I know you're responsible and I know you have a lot of self trust. How are we doing? And it slows everything down, right? Puts us in our experience. And the thing that's so great about self care is, well, the thing that's funny, I'll start there, is self care used to be bathtubs and bonbons. Right? That
Absolutely.
is not the self care I am talking about. I'm talking about caring actively for what's going on in my experience.
Mm.
And so, as I talked about when you take anything in isolation, if we take self care without self responsibility, without self trust, and I know every woman I know, including me, can do this to distortion as well. Now
Yeah.
I've got self indulgence, I have inertia, I've got self pity.
Oh,
And again, now I'm sitting in isolation. Right.
got it. Yep.
So all of these things can distort. It's part of the human experience. None of this is fixed. It's all dynamic. It depends on the day and what we had for dinner and did I eat breakfast and did a wound get activated, right?
Right.
So it doesn't matter that we're in a fixed, perfect place of maximum agency and vitality for the rest of our days. It's that we have enough capacity. What's the one thing I can take responsibility for right now? What is it that I trust? I remember I'm going to be okay. This can be a bad day. I get bad days. That is okay. I know how to care myself and meet for myself there. And then we go back around. That is
Oh,
insourcing. That's what gives us access to, I'm making a choice with my head,
yep.
with responsibility. My hands and body are in motion, in action with self trust, because now I'm doing, like I've launched into courage. And then my heart comes online to go, and how are we? Are we still in communion? Are we still in connection? Am I still with my village? Do I need the bathtub and bonbon? And I'm going to take responsibility for that. I'm going to go do that. And I have enough self trust to know, yeah, I'm going to disappear for 45 minutes. That doesn't mean I'm out for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
So it's this living dynamic relationship that gives us access to our inner wisdom, lets us slow down and listen, lets us discover what things feel like in our body.
Mm.
That's the insourcing way.
Oh, I love that. And when you guide people through these three areas for themselves, I would imagine with the self-care, there's a lot of work around the wounds, around the stories, around that kind of thing to be able to get to the responsibility. Well, I mean, I know it's all dynamic, so it all works together. But I know that people are wondering, it's like, well, yeah, how do I do that? Like the care part. How do I actually care about how I feel? Right. You know,
So, what's interesting about that, Brenda, is I was sitting with a group, and this was a senior leadership team, and some of their people leaders, and we were working through this model, and I was talking about, okay, you can probably all get ahead. Which one do you default to? How many for responsibility? Majority of the hands go up.
okay.
How many for self trust? Like a good chunk come up. How many in self care? And hands went up.
Oh,
And they're like, yeah, I am inclined to run away and hide. Right.
uh,
So when we think about stress responses, they're like, so how do I do that? Like, how do I come out of? And so for them, depending where you are, take responsibility for one little thing, right?
okay.
Take responsibility for returning an email. For like that's going to grow, and it just kicks the whole cycle into energetic output again. So the self care piece, because most of us don't default that way,
Mm-mm.
The self-care is, can I take, and I'm going to use the exact same questions. Can I take responsibility for this body that I have been given?
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
And what is
Yeah.
required for that? So for me, as you know, I just baked some egg muffins this morning, some spanakopita. I can smell them. They're in the air. But nourishing my body well, that was a place where I would get lazy. And I mean, I will do almost anything to get salsa in my face. So it meant usually chips and salsa, right? Because that's the easiest vehicle. I don't eat badly, but to take responsibility and play with this question, what's possible if I
Okay.
take responsibility for how I care for my body? One thing, not all the things, one thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to start playing with how I nourish my body.
Mm.
And so I did, and I am. And so that's cooking one meal in a particular way and making sure that I can eat that over the next couple of days. That grows my self-trust. And what that means in this case is that I am learning to be my own best ally.
Mm. I love that wording, my own best ally. That just,
Oh, may we all be. May we all grow into
I
this.
like that better than being your best friend. Right?
Yeah.
I love this. Being your best ally. That feels like I'm here for you no matter what. Even the best friend can be like that, but an ally feels different in my body.
That's such a great point. I hadn't thought about that. When I think about ally, now that I'm feeling into it freshly,
Mm-hmm.
it means whatever is necessary is going to be called up. So, best ally, if I need my warrior, I got one. And this
There we
girl
go.
shows with fire and she will show up. But also, she doesn't have anything to prove. She'll show up when necessary and then knows to step back.
Yes.
Right. When I need gentleness and care and I want to avoid the 2x2, something in my body is going to go, rest your ankle, it's swollen.
Yes.
Right. The really basic things. I've had to pee for an hour. Right. And how many times
Right.
do I miss that?
Absolutely.
Right. Am I
Absolutely.
listening to the cues? And so every time I take responsibility for one little thing around self-care, and
Mm.
that's nourishment, that's well-being, that's peace of mind. That's what do I want more of? Okay, I'm going to read, even if it's 2 pages out of my book before I jump
Yes.
up and start cleaning. Let me get up and read 2 pages. I'm growing self-trust, and I'm going to be my own best ally, which means I'm getting a little bit better at the self-care, which means when I take responsibility, it's fire because it's clean.
Mm. Yes. Oh, I love that. That's what I had to do after caregiving, right, Doug, for so many years.
Yeah.
I didn't even know where to begin. As far, because I hadn't taken care of myself. My body was again telling me all this stuff. And it was like taking these incremental steps of what do I have control of right now? Okay. And that was it, because for years, if I couldn't do a full workout, I can't do the whole thing. If I can't walk for 20, 30 minutes, I can't take a walk. If I can't read a chapter, can't read the book. I mean, can't read. It was
Yes.
so bizarre to like, what is that, thinking? And then it was like, no, I can like go walk around the block and come back. And then it was like, oh, that felt good. I could read those 2 pages and be okay. And it was like, and so I just start building up this kind of resilience
Yes.
of I can do these things. And, at the time when I was doing this a few years ago, I didn't have the self-trust, right? I didn't have the thought process of the responsibility, trust, and care. And I love how you put that together,
Mm.
because it is so valuable, and it's something that we can do incrementally.
Absolutely. And then, what I think is really fun that I've been discovering is we start incrementally and then suddenly we're walking 30 minutes,
Yes.
right? And we all know this intellectually.
Mhm.
But when we bring it into our bodies, when we start thinking about, okay, but how do I do these things? I am
Yeah.
a high performer. I get a lot of stuff done. All these things. And we're tracking, we are not insourcing. What we're doing is we're accessing something that feels like insourcing because nobody else is talking to us. But
Right.
these are the stories that we have absorbed. These are the beliefs that we have absorbed. This is the stuff that
Yeah.
comes from our mothers and our aunties and our friends,
Yeah.
right? And someone comes in and says, oh, yeah, I had this great hour-long workout, and a little part of me dies because all I did was walk around the block. And I'm like,
Yes.
no, enough, enough.
Right.
I am my own best ally. And today it was around the block, and that was just right. On a good day when I remember.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's just, and I think this is where out of isolation, community comes in.
Yes.
This is where the friend comes in.
Yes.
Like having people in your corner or the coach like you, to come in and just kind of go, oh, remember we've got the three little questions. Remember we've got this. And we need to be reminded. We all need to be reminded, right? Even if when I was going through the whole thing with Doug last year, it was like, I'm a forgiveness coach and I can't even forgive, right? It was like that. And I needed help in my process. I needed my coach to walk in and say, sweetie, okay, I gotcha. It's okay. We're here. All right.
So good.
I know, right? Because I had also built up that trust with her, right?
Yep.
I think that's another key is having a community, even if it's a couple people that you totally, like your body says, okay, I can breathe now. I can listen. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Because it's our nervous systems that are running us, right?
Thank you.
So when the nervous system is regulated, and I know for me, if I can find 1% of control, and I know this going through my divorce, I knew this going through my dad dying, right, at such a young age. I knew this through my own things, whether that's the parsonage turner or the brain bleed. What is one thing I can control? What is one thing, not even control, I don't want to use such a strong word.
Yeah.
One thing I have a say about.
Oh, I like that.
And that feels truer. What's the one thing I get to have a say about? How I respond to this, how I think about this.
Oh,
I think about what's the story. One of the places I go, what's the story I'm going to tell about this that I want to be able to tell 10 years down the road? I'm like, okay, live into that. I'm reaching for the hand of my future self going, I don't know how to do this. Pull me. Like pull me.
Pull me. Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Now you mentioned forgiveness.
Yes.
Now you had to forgive yourself. Of course, in my world, and this, all forgiveness is self-forgiveness.
Yes.
In my world. And so, that's a lot. When we go through like autoimmune, when you get to this point, or the high achieving, the really responsible, let's get her done woman, there's a lot that we get to look at. I'm going to say it this way. We abandon ourselves, right? We go through all the things. What did it look like for you?
So, the first thing was such a massive thing for me, and it hung on for a really long time, actually. And it was when the parsonage turner knocked me flat.
Yeah.
I had to resign and withdraw from every board position, leadership position, school contributing position that I was on. And nobody likes to let people down, right? This was a thing I had never done. And I knew I'm leaving people in the lurch. I made a 1-year commitment to this, and somebody is going to have to pick up the slack. And it is necessary. There is no way that I can navigate this and that, right? So that feeling like I abandoned my responsibilities, that I abandoned, more importantly than the responsibilities, the people I was committed to being of service to.
Yes.
Was excruciating. And I will say that it probably took me a decade before I could move through this idea of I am living in fear of anybody depending on me for anything.
Oh.
Because I do not want to be in that position of letting people down. If my autoimmune kicks up, because I can't guarantee my energy is going to be consistent.
Correct.
Right? If this shuts me down again, or if maybe, heaven forbid, and this is where I went, what if that's actually part of my character and I did all of this because I was feeling lazy, right? Like the crazy stories we make up in our heads.
Crazy stories.
So the forgiveness of this, there were lots of smaller forgivenesses, you know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, the self-abandonment. Absolutely. I was aware I wanted something different and I was disregarding it. Ways I wasn't listening to my body early enough, really making my peace with that, with my younger self, right? And going, honey, you were doing the best you could. There were all of these kinds of things. Times I lost my temper at my kids because I'm so worn thin by
Oh,
physical pain.
absolutely.
And then my poor daughter steps in it, and I got nothing but big voice,
Right.
right? Because my body is shut down. So all of those things I would say were a very intentional forgiveness
Mhm.
process with myself, and then taking responsibility where I could if there was an other involved. This one of letting people down, I would say is still in my system, and it is my work in progress. Am
Yeah.
I willing to be seen? I was at the front of every room. I was the one doing the trainings and the teachings and the guidings and coaching people through these processes. And I'm like, am I willing to be seen? Because am I willing to be embarrassed if I can't show? Right. And this is where this process of looking at forgiveness work, in addition to what's the one thing I'm willing to take responsibility for, so that I
Yeah.
can regrow that self trust without losing access to self care. In fact, building that into the system. And then I can take responsibility for a little bit more forgiveness and all the way around.
Thank you for sharing that. And because the responsibility, the self trust, and the care is forgiveness.
Yes.
It's not separate from.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a big thing that I want people to really walk away with is understanding forgiveness is not saying I'm sorry.
Mhm.
It's so much deeper than that. It is all these other components because I can't get to forgiveness until I can take that responsibility and build that self trust and understand what self care is. Then it happens,
Yeah. And then
you
you didn't
know?
even know what happened. It's done.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, wait, what?
And right. And I think, don't you think too, we always have something to work on lifelong?
I do.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
there's something that just keeps coming back, so yeah.
It's so true. And it really is. This one, I think for me is a big one is what does it look like to take responsibility for my life? And
Yes.
all the small and big, just sitting with that question in the morning, it's become such a part of my practice.
Oof.
What does it look like? What's it look like today? What's it feel like today? Today looks like sitting on the couch with Coco and a movie for the first hour of the day because I'm overwhelmed from yesterday, or I made the mistake of going to bed reading the news,
There we go.
right?
Yes.
And trusting myself enough that I'm not going to lose access to my responsibility and all the things I have to get done today by taking that and shaking up the routine.
I love that, and reframing how we look at everything. That's
Absolutely.
that's really valuable. Thank you, Sheila, so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you and for
So
the role you've played with in my life around keeping forgiveness at the fore and helping to remember me to learn and remember that it isn't this big declaration, right? It's not me suffering to prove how much I understand I did harm. It's not me performing to show how guilty I feel, right? It's like, no, this is forgiveness is present when I can move through my life.
yes.
Like Brenda taught me that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This has been we could talk for hours and we will have another conversation because I love it. I love your insights and the depth and just the curiosity and the questions you ask. This is so good. It's so rich. And I've learned a lot today. So I'm like, "Ooh, I want to do that. I'm going to ask myself that." So this is really good. I love how we can always learn, right?
Yes.
Always, always learn. So you have a little gift for the listeners that's coming up. You want to talk a little bit about it?
So I'll talk about the place to find me is probably Substack these days. And it's just at Sheila Delaney. And it's the Insourcing Way is the publication that's on there. And it's
Great.
pretty new. But one of the things I'm so excited about I'm working with a publicist. We've got a whole new website coming, all the things. But the coolest part is this assessment that's in process that helps us to notice our patterns around responsibility, self-trust, and care. What are our defaults? And then what do you actually do with that? Because that information, okay, that's cool, that's interesting. And a lot of people can do a lot just with that. More of us, I think, do better when we've got, here's a suggestion, here's a couple things to try. Try this,
Yes.
try that, depending where you're
Yes.
ending up. So your listeners get early access. And this is going live in 48 hours from recording. So the place to go is to my website, insourcingway.com/early access. And they're going to get early access to that website.
Oh,
To
I
that.
love that. We're going to have that definitely in the show notes.
Great.
And I'm going to be
Thank
on
you.
that too in a heartbeat.
I'm so excited about it. It's so pretty. I just.
Oh, don't you love it when it's
I
just
do.
like everything comes together? It's like, oh, I can't wait.
Truly. And
I can't wait to
honestly,
share it.
a shout out to my partner, because it's my beloved who has made this for me, because he has skills and talents and he
Oh,
has a very high aesthetic standard. And he's like,
oh,
yeah,
I
want me
love
too? I was like, would you please? Would you?
Oh,
And
that's
it's so
amazing.
pretty. Yeah. So
I love that. That is so good. And, so if someone wants to get in touch with you, Substack is the best way to go. You said the Insight Way. Is that what you called it?
insourcingway.com.
Insourcing Way. There we go.
Correct.
Thank you.
And the new website will be up first week of April.
Great.
So there's contact me page. There is a website up there now that's live. There is a contact page through there.
Okay.
Absolutely welcome to find me there. I'm on LinkedIn-ish.
Okay.
But Substack and the website are the best ways to find me.
And who do you like to work with?
I love to work with women generally with women, but I do work with men. But I love to work with women who are willing to think deeply about their own lives, who are aware that something that used to work isn't working or feeling like it used to. And whether or not they have clarity around, here's what I want it to feel like, they're aware something has shifted.
Yes.
And it is not optimized for my nervous system, for my experience, for my body. And then we come in and I get to hold the lantern and I get to illuminate the way and walk with them as they connect to their own inner wisdom and inner ally. It's such a privilege. It's so joyful.
Isn't it?
Yes.
It is really a privilege. I just, just the feeling that you have just holding this space for someone is just beautiful.
It is.
Beautiful. Thank you for all the work that you do. Do you have any parting words for the listeners today?
Oh, you know so much more than you think you know. You are so much more equipped than you can remember at all the times. And I feel like Pooh Bear or A.A. Milne, but it's true. I absolutely believe it's true. And that does not mean that we're doing it at the exclusion of the world. It means that when we take in information, we take in legitimate wisdom, and we take in learning, or when we read a book, we are the final say on what that does in our lives. That's where I would leave it.
Thank you so much, Sheila.
My pleasure.
This has been such an honor to be with you and to listen. And, and I hope everybody took notes, because I know I'm going to go back and listen so I can.
Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah, you are so welcome. And for the listeners today, I just want you to remember that you matter, and that, we just take one little step at a time. That's all we have to do. And always know that we are whole no matter what. So until next time, take care. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it, would you do me a favor and share this episode, and then follow us on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss one episode of the Forgive Yourself podcast, where every Friday you will get tips, tools, and stories so that you can turn your pain into peace. Take care.